Hi, I want to talk to you today about perfect squares and perfect cubes. These are numbers that you need to be very familiar with and recognize these perfect squares and perfect cubes. Here's a list. Normally I focus on 1 through 20 squared. These are all your perfect square numbers. And then the perfect cubes 1 through 10 are the ones you need to be familiar with. I would pause the video and write these down and study them. Practice on Sporkle, practice writing them, having someone call them out to you. Just be very familiar with all of these perfect squares and cubes. There's a few basics that I want to go over with you. First of all, this is a square root symbol. This is also called a radical. That is the symbol here. That is a radical. And if you're taking the square root of 25, the 25 is the radicand, is what it's called. This is read the square root of 25 or root 25. Now, sometimes it's not going to be that simple. They're going to complicate things a little bit. Also realize that the answer to this is what number times itself is 25. That would obviously be 5, but sometimes they ask for the positive and the negative. So it would be also negative 5, because 5 squared, or 5 times 5 is 25. Negative 5 times negative 5 is also 25. Now, if it gets a little more complicated, here's an example of a slightly more complicated. We see decimals or fractions, and that concerns us. Just remember that you can rewrite this as a fraction. Always rewrite them as fractions. This is read as tenths, hundredths. So this would be 9 hundredths. Now, the good thing about that is both of those are perfect squares. So you would just take the square root of 9 on top and the square root of 100 on the bottom. So the answer to this question would be 3 tenths, or 0.3. Again, here's another fraction, like the square root of 144 over 289. Both of those are perfect squares. You could separate them if you wanted. Square root of 144 is 12, and the square root of 289 is 17. Again, me knowing all those perfect squares is very, very helpful. Finally, here's another decimal, the square root of 0.16. That's another hundredth. That's the square root of 16 over 100, which is 4 over 10, or 0.4. I hope this helps understand just the basics of square roots. Again, all of these rules could be used for cube roots as well.